Hi everybody. Today we have got Georgina Hughes on our show. She is going to give us lots and lots of insights to her background and maybe a few opinions. But without further ado, let's welcome Georgina.
Hello.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. For our viewers and for our listeners who are possibly new and may not know you, but even the people who do know you, they may not know about your early career. So take us through your early career. What influenced you? What shaped you? Did you have some big mentors? How did it all begin? Take us through that journey.
Well, it's been a very interesting beginning because I wanted to be a journalist when I started. Wow. And I'd had a rough childhood and I really struggled through university when I started. So I was doing a communication degree and I completely flunked my first year. There was no success story there. I think I passed one module out of 8, so it wasn't good. And I was coming to the end of my student loan and I was sat in a field with my partner, who is still my partner 20 years later.
Oh, bless.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't want to go back because I'll never make it out again. I've got to get a degree. He was like, well, you're quite good at computers. I was like, am I? He goes, yeah. I was like, so I should do a computer degree? And he goes, I think you'll pass. And that is literally how I ended up with a computer science degree, was just this random conversation over a couple of beers in the park. And I was really lucky because I'd already got into Oxford Brookes and they have a spectacular computer science program. So it's very practical, very hands-on, but also a good amount of theory. So I came out, degree in hand, and not really knowing what to do. And I was like, well, programming is the thing I'm least bad at. You can kind of blag your way through programming a little bit more than most things in computing. So I just started searching for computing jobs. I was not doing good. Like my first job out of uni, I got a pay rise after 3 months and then was sacked after 6 months.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Wow.
So that was fun.
Wow.
Yeah, I was doing so well with one of the senior developers there. We got on very, very well. And then I had a period where I had to work with the director and we just didn't speak the same language. He had a much more technical software language.
Okay.
And I just didn't understand what he was saying and he didn't have a different way of communicating it. And he was the director. So he got to decide that I didn't get to work there anymore.
Yeah. And it's interesting you say about the language aspect because we've moved on a lot in the world. I mean, I don't know, in the 90s, in the 70s, the 90s, and then the noughties. Things have changed a lot. Language has changed a lot. But I suppose the core principles are still there. So in a way, he negatively may have influenced you.
Yeah, I mean, it was tough. I had another couple of experiences that were roughly similar. I was aiming at small businesses. I didn't have big dreams or aspirations. Yeah. I just wanted to be able to pay my bills, you know, especially my student bills. I had some personal debt as well as official student debt. And I just needed to pay that down and eat and pay my rent. So I wasn't thinking any bigger than that. And I grew up on a farm, so I didn't have anyone who could tell me this is what the world of work looks like because their world of work looked completely different from my world of work. So I was just trying to muddle through, really, doing the best I could. And the web did exist, but nothing like today. It wasn't like LinkedIn existed or anything like this. So it was like, how do you find those first mentors?
Yeah.
And my partner had only worked for one company, so he knew how to get in a job and stay in a job. I knew how to get into lots of jobs and stay in no jobs. But then I had a break. I ended up working for a guy called Sean Fisher in a company called Metier in Covent Garden. They're a digital marketing agency. And that was my break. It was amazing. They hired me as a front-end developer, which is what I wanted to do. It gave a really nice blend of human-focused computing, because obviously, as I wanted to be a journalist, that was my passion, was people. I wanted to watch people. I wanted to make the world interactive for people. And this was on the brink of Web 2. And that's going to date me now, isn't it?
Won't tell anyone.
So it was all very exciting. Like, I remember when Infinite Scroll was invented, and we were so excited about this feature, and it was going to be revolutionary and change the world, which in fairness it did, right? I mean, it completely changed everything. And that was brilliant, because that was in London. So I started going to like meetups and things. Sean was the guy who introduced me to Kanban.
Oh, wow.
So I didn't go Agile first, I was Kanban first. And then from reading about Kanban, I came across Henrik Nyberg from Spotify fame, well, now Spotify fame.
Yeah.
This was pre-Spotify as well. He wrote a book on his time in the Swedish police force and how he built software there, essentially as an Agile coach. And I was mind blown. I was like, this is it. So I just, from that point on, I let the software development slowly drift away. And I think within 4 years of having started there, I had given up software development altogether and moved into Scrum Mastery, and very quickly after that into Agile coaching, which would be around the time that we met as well, I think.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
So he was obviously a great influencer, somebody, a mentor like him, who you watched and learned from. And the rest is kind of history. Yeah. Great that you started with Kanban. I mean, that's interesting, because Kanban is very much a sign of maturity, I would say, whereas Scrum, it's more kind of like, let's get teams started. These are frameworks, these ways of working for people who may not know these terms. But that's interesting that you started in that kind of way. Do you think you started in that way and with Sean and the team there because they were more kind of digital marketing, or?
Well, Sean was hired in only a few weeks before I was hired, actually, and he did hire me. It wasn't like we were hired in separately, together. And he was brought in specifically for his Kanban knowledge. Yeah. So I assume that there was something, but I hadn't really been there as part of those decisions. And I came in quite junior, so I really didn't know what was going on in the managerial side of things. And again, like I said, I was a farm girl, so I had suddenly found myself slap bang in the middle of London, and I was definitely a farm girl in the middle of London at that point. It was there were more learning curves for me than just how to do the job. It was also the social aspect, what to wear, how to act. I used to take my shoes off and just wander around the office barefoot. I got told off about this.
It's just so interesting and so amazing. When I first sort of started my career, I was a mature student, so I had 2 small children. Prior to that, I'd qualified as a fitness instructor, as a personal trainer. So I spent a lot of my days teaching flexibility, strength. And I found when I went into the office and I had to be in meetings, similar to you, I took my shoes off and I crossed my legs on the chair.
Oh, yes.
Because I just needed that. My body was so used to having flexibility. And I'd always ask, do you mind if I just sit here comfortably? Can I take my shoe? And nobody would ever say no. But it's interesting how we have to change ourselves to fit into an environment. That's quite interesting how you adopted this kind of style of learning and then adapted to it. That's interesting. And then you've become a coach. Yeah. Take us through the journey of that. How did you sort of, and what were your kind of early learnings from being a coach? Yeah. And who are your mentors?
Yeah.
Say?
Well, the Kanban thing has always been front and centre, interestingly. I had started going to more Agile meetups in probably like 2014, 2015, because I'd done a few development ones before that. And in London at the time, I mean, you must remember, you had the choice of 3 or 4 every night, 4 nights a week. And So I was on under 40k. I think my first job in London would have been in the 20s, and eventually I got up to 40k, and I was paying $5+ grand a year just on the train ticket to get from Reading, where I was living. So I was poor. Poor. Yeah. And as much as anything, the appeal of these things was I could have free food and drink. So it could pay for a third of my sustenance.
Why not?
Why
not? Yeah.
And of course, as I started to go into more, I got to know people, and I got to know more about management, business theory, obviously all agile skewed. I just got to learn so much. And I saw Dan Brown, Kanban Dan, talk a few times. And then I became a contractor. I managed to finally get enough money together that I was like, yes, I'm secure enough for a couple of months that I can take this risk. So I went off and I was a contractor, and my first Scrum Master, pure Scrum Master role was a contractor role. And who turned up but Adventures with Agile?
Wow.
They had been brought in as a consultancy back when they were still doing a lot of consultancy. And Dan Brown, a couple others, Chris and Andy, but obviously Dan Brown's the big name. Yeah. There he was. And I was like, this is incredible. He comes over to me and he goes, it's very nice to meet you. And I'm like, we have met before. He goes, this is the trouble with being a big name. Everybody knows me and I know nobody. It's like, it's fine. I don't take offence. But he really took me under my wing, because I said, I was very open with them. I was like, I have tweaked my CV so it looks like I've got a bit more Scrum Master experience. Yeah. Because I think all developers who have worked in Scrum can be a Scrum Master, a basic Scrum Master. There's definitely more skills to learn, but they're halfway there compared to, especially at the time, the project managers who had made the same jump.
Absolutely, yeah.
But businesses, they didn't understand it. No. You can ask whether or not they still understand it.
It's tricky, isn't it? It's a way of working, and I think sometimes we think a certain way of working is adopting it, the name, that's going to actually fix things, but it's not. No. So there's lots to learn. And the thing is, structure is necessary.
There needs to be a process.
Structure is so necessary. So in a way, that should be like music to businesses, because businesses survive on doing well. So yeah, I got introduced to Agile and Scrum back in the days of British Gas. But prior to that, before 2000, I was at British Airways, and they had what I could see was like a Kanban way of working, because they had cross-functional teams. They operated in such a way that their projects and programs would kick off, work, and then people would swap around. So in one program, you may be the Scrum Master, and they'll say, oh, but Georgina knows an awful lot about this product. Could she lend her hand to being the product owner? And similarly, lots of things like that were happening. And I didn't even know about Scrum or Kanban then. But when I did then come across it, I thought, oh gosh, they did this wonderful work there at British Airways back then. And I think the cross-functional ways of working, and even now, more so now than ever before, I think people who can upskill in a tool, a technology, a process, can actually lends itself to the organisation, because you're getting these highly skilled people who not only get the opportunity to try new things, but also actually they could find out then that they're really good at it.
Yes. Yeah. And that synergy points that you can find as well. It used to be that educational institutions were very happy for people to do cross-disciplinary education, especially when they'd done their bachelor's. They're looking at masters and PhD, because those are where the interesting points are, the intersections. And we talk about it in diversity of people as well, right? It's that intersectionality. Where is it that one thing butts up to another that look completely different from the outside, but when you're inside them, they join together and create something new and beautiful.
It's quite, we're learning so much by virtue of technology, by virtue of data, we are learning loads. So let's. I want to bring a 60 seconds, but I'm going to wait because we're having such lovely insight from you. What's your current role? Like, what are you currently doing?
Yeah.
What's your kind of day-to-day working now?
So my job title is still Agile coach.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Am I a coach? No. Am I doing anything Agile? Questionable. But actually, I think that is to the credit of the organisation that I'm working for, who I'm not going to name today.
No.
But they are so far advanced that everything that we would consider novel 10, 15 years ago, they're really embedded. So they've got appreciation cycles, they do retrospectives, they have quick catch-up chats, they arrange coffee chats. Even though they're a global organisation and everyone's virtual, people make time. Like, I have several people in my calendar who every other month I just meet with them for 15 minutes and we just talk about what's going on in our little parts of the business. So they've really managed to replicate all those things that we were trying to bring in those warehouses in Camden or Shoreditch, and they've made it work. So now what I do day to day is I create a lot of training so that people can just learn about the skills, the techniques. Maybe they're new to them, maybe they just want a refresher, because obviously there's always new people coming into the business, young people coming into the business. So it might be okay for us to say, oh, we know exactly what's going on here, this is old hat. Well, they've never learned it. So having that resource where they can just go and in their own time, their own rates, go and learn some new techniques. And they're all bite-sized. So that's what I spend the vast majority of my days doing. I also do some AI stuff. We do quite a lot of AI in my organisation. And that's all done by staff who are doing it as what we call magic time. So it's not our day job, it's not part of our core responsibility, but we find time in our schedules to learn about this stuff and then educate our colleagues. So that's quite exciting. Yeah. But yeah, not much Agile.
We'll come back to this topic of AI in a minute. Let's bring it in a 60 second, just kind of break it up a little bit, have a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
So let's start off with a slightly different kind of... Oh, okay, let's start off with this one. What are you terrible at but secretly enjoy? It's one of my favourite questions, if I'm honest.
What am I terrible at but secretly enjoy? This is a really hard one because... if I'm really not good at something the first couple of times I do it, I don't pursue it. I'm that's not something I'm going to keep investing in. I suppose the closest would be photography.
Okay.
I've got a little zinc printer that does like little 2x3 prints. Yeah. And whenever something interesting that we've snapped, I print it out and I look at it and I go, definitely not a professional photographer. And I slap it in my journal and it's there. It gives me some joy.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you for that. Let's have one more. One app on your phone you should delete, but you never will.
YouTube.
Said that with your eyes closed.
Yeah.
Oh, bless.
I've deleted all social media apart from YouTube, and I pay premium on YouTube.
Yeah. So it means something to you.
It does. Well, I remember it launching. And I remember saying to my partner at one point, I've stopped going to Google when I want to learn something. I go to YouTube when I want to learn something. Yeah. And this is before Google bought it. And I used to do like little talking head videos on it back when it was still all for weirdos. Yeah. Well, I'm definitely a weirdo. So, yeah.
We all are, love.
Yeah. I think that's the truth of it, isn't it? Yeah. More for you.
True. No, people know. They know. Oh, bless you. So this AI, how important is AI?
Oh,
Gina, how should we be scared of it?
Yes. Yeah, we should be terrified of it.
Tell us.
I don't. I think important is the wrong word. Significant is the better word. It's not good. I mean, the stated aim of the industry, whether or not I believe they can actually get there, is to create human-like intelligence and then more. we've seen what unregulated algorithms in the form of social media has done to our society, to work, to social, to politics. And here we are with more capitalists doing more unregulated algorithms that it's bad enough when you look at Twitter and things pre-Musk days.
Yeah.
They didn't really understand the algorithms they had written, the weightings that they had done. And with AI, it's a complete black box. I actually made some neural nets when I was at university. nothing like this. But so I have an idea of how this stuff works, in the same way that I have an idea of how a light works. But there is never going to be a way to know the inside of that. So that's quite terrifying, because we are trusting business people who don't have the best reputation, especially these days in Silicon Valley. They were all there front row at Trump's inauguration. I don't think a lot of them support Trump, but I think a lot of them are happy he's there because he's not going to touch them. So part of his big, beautiful bill, he prevented states from regulating AI for 10 years. So we know that this is going to be unregulated for 10 years. And then, of course, there's all the geopolitics. China will be doing it, Russia will be doing it, all the rest. And even if we're comfortable with big corporations and capitalists doing this kind of thing, the question is then, well, what's it going to take over? We're already seeing entry-level jobs going, and we know what the mechanization of working class roles did to the working classes, and that was much slower over a much longer time frame. It gave people chance to discover new roles and over generations shift. But this is not over generation. This is going to be, today you've entered the job market, you've managed to get a job, but very quickly you're going to lose that job because someone's realised that they can halve their workforce using AI agents. And the next thing has not come along yet. There's no ramp down and ramp off that are overlapping. So I think we should be pretty terrified. I think we should be telling our government that we need to slow this down and actually consider this, because we've started to see the impact that such fast-moving technology has. And I don't think there is a person alive, well, maybe a few, but most of us are like, no, technology's moving too fast.
Yeah, it definitely needs to slow down. But I mean, on the one hand, like when the pandemic hit, we were fortunate that we could work from home. And also, even now with technology, it affords us to work with global teams, connect. But I think the aspect of that kind of, the loss, the Johan Hari writes about the stolen focus, our human intelligence being depleted. We have come from that industrial world, manufacturing world, to this information age. And a lot of the things, the skills, like your family from the farm workers, my family are also farm workers. And to lose a lot of that skill of labour, to machine, has actually created quite a crippling effect. Also, from the point of view of people sat at their desks, it's created jobs for other people, physiotherapists, personal trainers, hey-ho. But the thing is, with AI, I think the aspect of security is vital, people understanding it more and not believing everything and anything. So that algorithm that's kind of key, isn't it?
Yes. Because hallucination is not a bug, it's a feature.
Exactly.
It's just how it's going to be. Yeah. And I don't know about you, but there have been times where I've been talking at a party and I've said something and gone, I don't believe that. Why did I just say that? So I can see how a machine can easily make those mistakes, because I make those mistakes. Yeah. And these machines have come from an academic focus where they were trying to understand human intelligence by creating it in a machine. So well done them. They've got that bit right. But yeah, no, it's crazy. Like sometimes I can punt in a transcript of a meeting and it'll come out and say, oh yeah, here are the actions. I'm like, I know I phased out during that meeting every now and then, but I'm pretty sure that wasn't said. And I'll be like, where did you see that? And it will say, oh, here, this is the bit. And then I take that and I do a search through the transcript. It's not there. It's just lying to me.
Yeah.
And that's okay because it's my meeting notes. But when it's health information, health data, because that's all about to go to Palantir, and when it's coming to make big decisions, which people are inevitably going to do, I wouldn't trust it. It's great to take the boredom work out of my role. So it's great for rewriting an email. It's good for doing first drafts of things like a presentation or a newsletter or a Slack post or something like that. First draft. But after that, no, it's no good.
Yeah. I mean, we have to continue to invest and learn more about it. But I think that other piece of the puzzle in terms of people knowing the amount of damage it can do, it's capable of, is really vital. So this kind of questioning, querying, this searching in AI models and searching and saying, where did you get this from? You know, trying those different sources. Slowing down is crucial.
Yeah.
But how do, if we slow down, then there's this fear aspect, isn't there, about other countries taking control, and how does that happen? How can that be?
I think at the moment we're all being led by America. They're saying, well, this is the next technology, so let's all invest in it, and so everyone is. Well, why don't we say that something else is the next technology? You know, it doesn't need to be what America says. Fine, let them win that game. Let's not play it. Let's play another game. Let's play green energy. I mean, I think actually the West missed a huge opportunity to be the leaders in that. And now easily the East are being. So what else could we do? Oh, I don't know. If I knew, I wouldn't be sitting here. I'd be making it. But no.
Good to get that kind of opinion.
Yeah.
Your, absolutely. I think when I talk to my sort of fellow colleagues around the humanoid, around this whole kind of thing that's coming, if it enables society, then happy days.
Yeah.
But it's the enabling, it's the supporting alongside, not just kind of creating, just a kind of hurricane of redundancy. I think that's the key thing. And I kind of, my personal viewpoint is that actually we know this from Scrum and Agile. We know that actually people can self-organise.
Yeah.
People can do wonderful things. So I think actually communities, being part of your community is important.
Yeah.
Educating our kids, making sure that people really do have a critical thinking hat on.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think if you're going down that route, then we're probably looking at completely redesigning education, because it's certainly not breeding that kind of person. I mean, in America, Henry Ford had a great influence over their education because he wanted plug and play people for his production lines, much like he had on the actual mechanics of the production line. I think really we need to look at what we want from society, what kind of society we want, and that will probably give us the answers of what technologies we should be investing in. Personally, I'd like to see more employee ownership, more democratic institutions, which I think, although I kind of had this nice view of before I got into the Agile sphere, certainly the more I saw and worked with Agile teams, bringing those decisions down lower. And I talked about this for a while at the time, was we don't talk about middle management enough. By empowering teams, we're disempowering someone else. And typically that's middle management.
Yeah.
And the more I've thought about it, actually, what are they doing? Why are they there? Need them. We don't need senior managers, not there to manage the people.
Yeah.
There'll be the odd bit of process that you'll need someone to go off and do. But there are more and more employee-owned democratic organisations being formed, especially in Europe, but also across the world. And they're incredible. They're more efficient than their capitalist alternatives. They're more effective. They do more social good. Their employees are happier. They're wealthier. They have more benefits because the profit is shared across everybody. It's not the wealth of the workers being extracted to the senior leadership team. And I think really the older I get, the less interested I am in technology. I don't think it is the saviour that I thought it was when I was a child.
So you think the investment in the people on the ground is a far better way of operating, because they would be more kind of aligned to making things better, holding each other accountable?
Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because actually from a point of view of volunteering, if you do like voluntary work or you go and help out anywhere, that's what people do.
Yeah.
They want to make things better. They're not really in there from the point of view of it's just for money.
Yes.
It's more than that.
Yeah.
It's bigger than that. It's to make, whatever they're doing a success. What about the kind of behaviours that would change if that were to happen?
Yeah.
I mean, gosh.
Yeah, it'd be crazy, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It would look nothing like we see at the moment.
No. Do you think that would influence politics?
Yes. How could it not? Because if all of you look at how much lobbying, how much influence money has, and the reason why I was so attracted to Agile was because it was so egalitarian.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was just like our little pocket with Tobias Mayer and everyone who followed him. But I always felt that was the thing, right? Was that we were trying to push control down as far as possible, push decision-making down as far as possible, because the people with the problem are the best people to solve that problem. I have been unable to find a time where that is not true. The person with the problem is the person who can solve the problem.
Yeah.
Or at least knows the solution. They might need to go and find other people to help them create that solution because it's bigger than them. But yeah.
So, I mean, I like what you're saying. And some of this, like, testing that theory would be quite revealing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's definitely there's a bread factory in America.
Yeah.
They make some of the cheapest bread and they have full health care for their staff and for their families. They're employee owned. The disparity of income between the cleaner and the CEO is the smallest you will ever see in America.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing. So, what if you could change perception in your industry, what would that be?
Perception in the industry, I think it would just have to be overall about Agile, right? Because it's been, am I allowed to swear?
Yeah, of course.
It's been bastardized by so many different people, so many different interests, and became so big. It was a bubble, right? And it has definitely popped.
Yeah.
And people were like, well, I just need to be able to say these few words and I'm Agile.
Yeah.
And there was no substance behind it. These people had all the words and they just tried to squash them onto what they already did because probably in fairness, many of the changes they'd seen before that were that kind of thing. Oh yeah, this is what we do. Now we call it that. Not so with this.
So it's kind of like a ghost, really, isn't it? They say the word and expect people to sort of, be bamboozled.
Yes.
But yeah, maybe, I mean, people are using more substance-based, talk in terms of outcomes, outputs, and there's a lot now talk about OKRs, which has always been around.
Yeah.
I mean,
Book's very old, yeah.
We wrote specifications based on OKRs and KPIs. So it's been around for a long, long time, but it's kind of like coming back to influence people. So yeah, definitely. What's your top advice for someone just starting out then? So you're mentoring people where you are.
Yeah.
What would be your advice?
Network. It's about the people. It's not about it is about what you know, but actually the most interesting thing about work is who you know. And I have managed to put together and failed to put together lots of people. And I normally don't benefit from it nearly as much as I should. I should get like a referral fee. But I hear people go, so recently, someone was looking vibe coding and he had been telling me about how he'd been using it in his professional life. And we were sat on the train together chatting about this. So I was like, very interesting conversation. 2 weeks later, someone else asked me if I knew anyone who knew anything about vibe coding. And I was like, yeah, this person over here. And now that guy's had a whole bunch of career opportunities that just came from a random conversation on the train.
So networking, that's a big one. Yeah. No, thank you for that. Thank you. How do you define success for yourself?
Okay. This is something I've been grappling with a lot recently, actually. Having come back to work after COVID, after having children, after a stint away from the city. How do I define it for myself? I don't know if I define it at all. Yeah. I don't have this is successful, but when I look at my life, I feel like I'm a success.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Don't really have a straight answer for that one.
There's absolutely no need to apologise at all. It's good to hear your perspective, and that to me is brilliant. Yeah.
Cool.
I love that. And how do you keep balance between your work life?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay.
Because they're the same thing. Work is part of my life. It's not like it's separate. And I have a real problem with people talking about work-life balance, actually, because it keeps work as other, which isn't fair. Yeah. When we go into the workplace, we ask people to bring their whole self, to be authentic. Yeah. But if we then say you've got a work-life balance, well, that means you can't bring your life to work, right? And likewise, work can be very stressful, right?
Yeah.
And if nothing else, especially if you're in knowledge work, you've been thinking hard all day, 8 hours, well, maybe 4 hours, however long you've actually been thinking hard, you then turn up at home and you're not allowed to have any of that come home with you. I think it's an unfair expectation on people to separate the two, because they're not. Both will influence each other. Yeah. I'm a better parent because I'm a coach, and I'm a better coach because I'm a parent. So, no, I don't.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Again, I utterly appreciate your perspective. I'm sort of like that because I think I've always said this, actually. I went for a job interview and I got the job a long time ago, and my boss at the time, absolutely brilliant human being on this planet to this day. Even my mum loves the guy. She's always asked, how is he doing? And I'm like, yeah, he's doing great, Mum, he's doing really great. But he said to me when I joined, he said, are you happy with the contract that they've written? I said, yeah, totally. He said, a day's notice. I said, this is my bread and butter. And I think I kind of look at it like that. You should have that mentality of whatever you're doing, whether you're putting the rubbish out, or whatever it is, you kind of have that aspect of doing your best and then learning. If you don't know how to do something, then learning. So yeah, I totally appreciate that aspect. Yeah. So if you had a billboard for the future professionals, what would it be?
Put the screen down. Yeah. 10 years ago? No, not that long ago. 7 years ago. Just before COVID, 2019, I was working at Morgan Stanley, and I was working with some new grads, so they were 21. And one of them was telling me that she recently had gone out with a group of friends and they'd been on their phone on the train. I was like, well, yeah, I'm on my phone on the tube. It's too noisy. I've got my headphones in. I don't want, even if I'm with you, I don't want to talk to you on the tube. Yeah. I was like, that's normal. Yeah. And then she goes, yeah, but they only took one headphone out on the walk to the restaurant. Then when we got to the restaurant, everyone was on their phones and they were messaging each other.
While on the table.
At the table.
God.
You know. But mainly they weren't. They were having their own feed. And then they went home again. And I was just like, this is bizarre. And I saw it the other day. I went to the Postal Museum with my children, and there were some other kids there, and they didn't look up from their screen the whole time around the museum. Now, I get it. I'm not against screen time for children, but this is in a museum. You've taken them somewhere. You've paid to go to this place, and they're not looking at it. And they're both missing out on the experience of the world that they're in. They're not understanding the social rules. These are the places where we allow children because we expect them to be poorly behaved as they're learning how to be better behaved.
Yeah.
And they're not absorbing their culture. There's a lot of chat about people not integrating into the culture. Well, I think the children are the ones not integrating into the culture at the moment, Yeah,
no, that's a really good one. Yeah, definitely. No, thank you for that. And this kind of like just touches upon that whole kind of attention being stolen, focus is not there.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, definitely.
And I feel it in myself.
Yeah.
I'm a millennial, so it's not like I haven't grown up with the internet. It's not like I'm not on social media, but it's much more fun in the real world.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Georgina, for joining us with it just being so open and transparent with your views, your insights, your experience, and your opinions.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Anytime. It's been a pleasure.
God bless you. So that's it, folks. Thank you very much for joining. Hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I have. And please subscribe, share and like, and see you on the next one. Thank you.